A rise in student tuition, a La Crosse man convicted of murder, thousands of Amazon customers signing a petition, and more. Stay tuned. Almost Live in Lax is next. Almost Live in Lax, a new show for the students, by the students, where we bring the truth to UWL every Tuesday. With news from around the world and right here in La Crosse. With information you can use and news to be proud of. Stay tuned because Almost Live in Lax is coming up next. Welcome to the first ever edition of WMCM's newest show, Almost Live in Lax. Here at Almost Live in Lax, we are passionate about bringing students the news that they can use. We think that far too many students are oblivious to most of the issues and current topics that affect them every single day of their lives. We are here to provide people with the issues that matter to them, and then talk about them from a student's perspective. So hey, let's get started, right Camille?
Let's get started. I have the first story here today. Ever dreamt of being an Ivy League school? For one teenager, the hard work has paid off in the classroom, and she's been accepted to all 8 Ivy League schools. Augusta Uamanzuna is a senior and the valedictorian at Elmont Memorial High School. The senior was a finalist at the 2016 Intel Science Talent Search for her research on cement, which would prevent oil rigs from rupturing, according to CNN. A school that would allow her to pursue her scientific interests is ideal because she would like to obtain a science major. What's the secret potion behind these brains, you may ask? Augusta says her success in the classroom comes from her persistence and tenacity. Although she is unsure of what school she will be attending in the fall, Augusta looks forward to furthering her education and her love of science. What do you guys think of that?
I think that is a pretty impressive story. All 8 Ivy, I can't even name all 8 Ivy League schools.
Harvard, we have...
Sanford? That's a hall in La Crosse. I don't even know about that. It's pretty Brown. I think that there's one right there. I think it's pretty interesting to think about all the great things that a high school student is already getting done when they're
Yeah, that's insane. I couldn't even imagine doing that when I was in high school. You know, like
no way.
I was so busy doing whatever I was doing.
Exactly.
ACT was so hard.
Right, that was my struggle.
And I think CNN said that she got in with just an essay to all of these schools.
That
That's
is
insane.
ridiculous.
An essay.
Not
I'm
even
thinking
an
of all the
interview?
essays I write for school now, and I'm like, well, this girl's this much ahead of me.
Yeah.
I would like to see her taking some classes in La Crosse, see how it compares, you know?
Oh, definitely.
She's
I'm sure it's like
insane.
high school classes for her.
She'd probably be able to ace the classes that I got C's on when she was a sophomore in high school.
Very true.
Well, hey, let's go to the next story. This time we're going to be talking about Donald Trump. He has been getting some heat from Amazon customers. There have been over 13,000 Amazon customers that have signed a petition asking Amazon CEO to take all 8 items from Donald Trump's menswear collection off of their website. This comes as a pretty big shock to the Amazon CEO, although even if he does decide to take Donald Trump's equipment off of Amazon, he won't be alone in the standoff. Other companies like NBC have taken off the Miss USA pageant. ESPN has canceled some of their golf tournaments that have been placed on a Donald Trump golf course. So if this petition does succeed and they take off all 8 of Donald Trump's menswear items, Amazon will definitely not be alone. How do you guys feel about that? Think about all of the different people that are rallying against Donald Trump.
I think it's insane. I remember, did either of you guys attend the Donald Trump protest that was here when he, it was like at 7:30 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
It was something ridiculous that I wasn't going to get up for. But there was apparently a pretty decent turnout. When I was at work, I heard some customers talking about how they had attended it. It was actually some professors here at the university that went to it. So I think it's interesting to see how something so just local for us, we saw it happen here, is turning into something so big. You know, I mean, Amazon's kicking Donald Trump off their website, you know, that's insane.
And I also think it's kind of interesting if you take a look at all of the students that they got to come out at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They usually can't even get students to come out to their classes at 7:30 in the morning, and they're getting him to just yell about Donald Trump.
I think it definitely just sends a message to Donald Trump. Not trying to get political here, but it is, you know, you're going to lose people when you're saying messages that provoke
that try to deliberately shut out
provoke conflict.
citizens of
Yeah,
America.
exactly.
And I think that he's also realizing that he's getting some flack from the citizens of America and also the politicians. But there's a lot of people trying to go against the Trump America.
The presidential election will be extremely interesting come November. I
It is one
guarantee.
unlike I've ever even heard of.
Right.
Much, you know, like my grandparents are talking about it, and I mean, my grandparents are like 80 something, and like they're like, I've never seen anything like this before, you know, and I've heard that from several people. This presidential election is out of this world. It's so wild.
It's almost like it comes from a TV show.
It seriously feels like a reality show.
Reality
it's
TV.
ridiculous.
That's how I felt. I was actually at the Donald Trump rally, and it seriously seemed like he was just a television personality trying to start drama with the other contestants. When it's just that, I don't think that's what American
That's not the
politics is
issue,
about.
you know. Like why focus on that?
I don't know. Well, hey, let's check out our next story, though.
All right, so I have a story about the North Korean officer defects. A senior intelligence officer with the North Korean military has defected to South Korea. The defector was a senior colonel in the North Korean bureau in charge of espionage operations against South Korea. The officer was a senior colonel in the North Korean army, which makes him the highest level North Korean military official known to have been defected. All defectors from North Korea are interviewed by South Korean intelligence services information about life in North Korea. And it is expected that the high-level defector will be able to provide a large amount of knowledge about the workings of North Korea's secretive regime. The highest level defector comes after last week when 13 North Korean nationals working at Pyongyang-owned restaurant in an unnamed Asian nation defected to South Korea. These defectors said that after they left, they felt pressure from North Korean authorities to send foreign currency back to their homeland. We here at Almost Live in Lax hope that all stay safe through their trying time. What do you guys think about this?
I think that that is a pretty interesting story. If you think
I
about
agree.
actually what we know about what goes on in North Korea, it's pretty unheard of. We don't know too much. So it's kind of interesting to think about.
It's very under the table.
It really is.
Definitely.
So after we saw that they're going to interview this high elected official, what are we really going to learn about the North Korean regime? Where if you see a person, he's obviously spent almost his entire life moving up in the ranks of the military. Again, I don't quite know how that starts to work, but it's going to be interesting to see in the future what we learn about North Korea from this.
And I do think that this is a topic that will play into the presidential elections. I think this is a huge international topic that we should be talking about in the United States and we should be aware of.
And I think more and more people will start to be aware of
Right.
it.
I think so. Yeah, it'll bring more focus onto foreign policies for like you said, each presidential candidate, and it'll bring more awareness about North Korea to the entire nation as a whole. Because, like you guys said, nobody really talks about it. So, I think it's a good conversation to have.
It's an extremely secretive thing. It's one of those few secrets that we still have in the world.
That's right.
Kind of an interesting thing. I always like to think about when the story continued and it talked about all of the other people, not the military officials that have defected, what their lives were really like before their lives in North Korea. What were their daily lives like? What really convinced them that, you know, life isn't good in North Korea? Because that means that they had to overcome all the propaganda and all the brainwashing that North Korean has worked so hard to try and attempt to do. Well, hey, thank you very much for watching, guys. We're going to take a little bit of break, rest our legs. So why don't you guys check out these beautiful, perfect pets? We'll be right back.
I'm Beatrix, a 5-month-old pit bull mix. I love being the center of attention, and I would love to be part of an active household.
Hi, my name's Chop Suey. I'm a 5-year-old tiger cat. Haven't been feeling too well lately, but now me and my friends are feeling better and looking for our forever home.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm a playful and affectionate 8-month-old Australian cattle hound mix who's obviously adorable.
Hi, I'm Heath, and I'm a 1.5-year-old lab pit mix. I'm a little bit shy, but don't be scared. I'm very affectionate, and I love attention.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
And again, the number for the Cooley Region Humane Society is 781-4014. Now, students all over America from various different backgrounds can be utterly different in many different ways. But one thing that they have in common is they all are paying far too much for student tuition. Now, in today's America, money is something that almost every single person thinks about on a daily basis, whether it is paying their rent, tuition, buying groceries, even trying to do laundry. Money is a part of our daily lives, and throughout our time here at UWL, we may learn the history of ancient Africa, how many units of ATP are developed in glycolysis. We may even learn the name of the first ever human to walk the earth. But one thing that we don't learn too much about is about our personal financing. What is the difference in our student loans? Does the tuition freeze apply to me? Should I invest my money or should I just save it? These are questions that are asked by college students every single day. So to help answer these questions for all of you UWL students, we have brought in Garrett. Garrett is a financial peer mentor from the It Makes Sense Money Management Center. And thank you very much for being here, Garrett. Thanks for spending some time with us at Almost in Live in Lax.
Well, thanks, Peter. It's a great opportunity for us to get here with our office, absolutely, and get students connected with what we do. Being a part of the It Makes Sense office, one of the biggest things that we enjoy doing is just getting people informed on what they're here for school and to take care of their personal finances.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm glad that you're here then. That sounds perfect for what we're about to talk about. So let's just start off this interview nice and broad. So if you could pick one thing to say to every single one of the UW La Crosse students about money, managing their money, what would it be?
The biggest thing I could tell students is to make sure to just get educated. Make sure that you're pulling in the resources or using the resources that are available, such as the It Makes Sense office, going to financial aid office, asking those questions that you might not have heard about before. But if you're still curious about things, I'd encourage you to take a personal finance class and just see what you can do, because if you understand your finances now, getting into the career field and actually making more money than a part-time college student at best, you'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Are there some low-level personal finance classes that students could get into?
I believe Personal Finance 207 is, or Finance 207 is the personal finance class that I've actually been a guest lecturer for because of the It Makes Sense office as well.
Really? How did that go for you?
Can't complain. It's one of those things that when you've never taken a personal finance class yourself, but you've done it with just kind of your own personal experiences, then getting involved with the It Makes Sense office right away, it's kind of cool when people start asking you questions. You're like, hey, I haven't even taken this class, but now I'm teaching you. So, hey, let's see what happens.
Right. Well, hey, it's good that you're spreading that information because, like you said, getting educated is such a great tip because it wasn't really too much of a requirement in high school, and it's something that every person is involved with money, but not too many people know how to manage their own finances.
Exactly. And a big thing here on campus that I know I'm a strong proponent for is that we don't require students to take a personal finance class. Like we were talking about, we encourage, or we require students to take a math course, English courses, all these different things for gen eds. But getting out into the real world, we don't require students to actually take a personal finance class. And with that, you can send somebody out who's going to potentially have, debt. The average UWL student graduates with $26,000 in debt. And if you're a 22-year-old graduate with $26,000 in debt and you don't even know how to budget your money, and you're told, hey, go get a job, you might not even know where to look for to start off with.
Mm-hmm. You've kind of dug yourself a hole before you're even out, and you have no idea how to dig yourself out.
Oh, absolutely. 7 out of 10 UWL students have money on their mind or they're stressed out about it. That could be somebody who has been taking out a bunch of student loans, but that's also, somebody who might not have been, but they're still working to pay for things.
Yeah.
So it's everybody in a big range. It's not just the people who are buried in debt. It's just in general, 70% of our students have money on their mind and are focusing on that more than they are their academics.
Yeah, so it's obvious that every student's thinking about it. So hey, you guys out there watching, think about it. Maybe send a letter to Joe Gao, send a letter to Paula Knudsen, our Vice Chancellor. Ask them to make it a requirement that every student learns about finance, because it'll really help us out. You heard it here first. So Garrett, if I asked you, what are some things, whether it be maybe some resources students could find, a warning that you have, that every single college student should be aware of?
I would say get educated about your debt if you're going to take it. Mm-hmm. Don't live live within your means. To me, that's a big thing, because by understanding that and knowing what we're doing, you can just keep going forward. But if you don't know how much debt you're taking out, you might just be accepting your financial aid package, and then when you're graduating, like I mentioned, $26,000 the average student. You might be less, you might be more. The national average for a student debt is $33,000.
Really?
So I know when I graduate, I don't want to have $33,000 in debt, so it's getting educated now and understanding that. And we have several different resources within our financial aid office, and It Makes Sense to go forward, and we're in 2103 Centennial. So it's one of those things that we're right above career services, not far away, and just go for it and get it taken care of.
Yeah, you heard it here. It makes sense. That was 2301?
2103 Centennial Hall.
2103. Hey, I'm going to definitely utilize that, Alvis, a little bit more.
Well, appreciate it. That's awesome.
So, if I'm just going to ask you a quick question, something that my personal friends have asked me before, something that I'm not quite sure about, is the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans. I know that we've all seen it on our loan summaries. Could you possibly maybe elaborate a little bit on that, kind of what that has to do with everything?
Absolutely. There's a lot of students who actually ask that question, Peter, which is pretty cool to know that a lot of people are asking about it, but not a lot of people are getting that education. So the subsidized loans, what they are, is that the government gives us subsidies, so then students do not have to start paying interest on their student loans until after graduation of college, and then they don't have to start paying them until 6 months after graduation. But an unsubsidized loan is the day you take out a loan, you're looking at it, you're going to start accruing interest on it, and currently the national average or the national interest rate on the loans is 4.29%. So that's better than any private loan you could potentially get. But still, if you're not following your student loan debt and you don't know what your interest rate is, that could bury you as well because it just keeps adding on and adding on.
Okay. So would you say you were probably trying to look for some subsidized loans?
Yep, with your FAFSA, make sure you file your FAFSA. That's one of the biggest things to get a financial aid package. Okay. And from there, you can see with how much your parents make, you make everything there and what they're offering you. If you can take subsidized loans, that should be the first thing you're accepting outside of grants. Mm-hmm. Grants and scholarships, that's just free money someone's willing to give you. If you apply for it, they give it to you. Just making sure things are taken care of. Good to go. I'd rather have somebody else pay for my school if I earn it. So get the grants if you can, but second best option would be subsidized loans if that's a part of your financial aid package.
And you mentioned something about FAFSA. So now this is another common misconception that a lot of students have asked me about. Does the time of your submission of your FAFSA matter about your financial aid award?
It can come on a first come, first served basis. So there's different things like there's the Pell Grants or the free money that the government can help you with. The sooner you get in, you could potentially get that Pell Grant, because if you do your FAFSA right away and you're one of the first ones eligible for it with all your criteria, great. But if it's coming, closer to September, October, where your financial aid package has to, be applied and you haven't applied for it yet, those Pell Grants, that money that the government is giving to students, that might be used up. Yeah. So biggest thing is the sooner you get it taken care of, the better. You can plan your finances out and actually make a financial plan for the upcoming semester, upcoming year, and then you can go forward with that.
Which that has to be really nice, especially to open up your FAFSA, see that you've got a Pell Grant, and hey, that's $1,000 that I didn't even have to work for.
Well, absolutely. The way I see it is it takes maybe, say an hour or so to fill out your FAFSA, sit down with your tax information, everything there. And then if someone's saying, hey, I'm going to give you $1,000, to me $1,000 is the best pay rate I'm probably ever going to get an hour, so that's what I would rather take,
Think about that. What are you getting, $1,000 for every 0.001 seconds that you've worked for it?
I'm not opposed.
That's pretty true. I'll work for that. And then so we are kind of running out of time for our interview, but hey, thank you very much for stopping by. Do you have any other quick financial aid tips that you'd like to say to our audience here over at Almost Live in Lax?
Absolutely. Biggest thing is just get together, get educated, and come into the It Makes Sense office and come see me, one of the peer mentors, or we have about 10 other people on our staff to come check it out. So again, we're in 2103 Centennial Hall. We're open from 8 to 4:30, and we're a good group to be around, so come on in.
You seem like it. Well, hey, thank you very much for stopping by, Garrett. And for all you guys watching out there on Almost Live in Lax, we will be back, but stay tuned for this great clip of Eagle Nation.
Eagle fans, WMCM TV has a brand new sports show. That's right. Join us every Monday and Friday to keep up to date with all the Eagle athletics. We'll recap highlights, talk to coaches and players, and keep you up to date on what's happening around campus. Pretty cool, right? The show that I'm talking about is Eagle Nation. So join the crew every Monday and Friday at 12 p.m. to talk about UWL athletics. So when you think of sports, think of us, Eagle Nation, on WMCM TV.
Hello there, and welcome back to Almost Live in Lax. We've talked a little bit about some national news stories. We've informed you about how you can improve your finances. But hey, what's going on in the city of La Crosse right now? Amber, could you tell us a little bit about that?
I sure can. All right. Well, so out-of-state and graduate students here at UW La Crosse can expect to see a rise in tuition fees for the academic year of 2016-2017. The Wisconsin tuition freeze does not apply to out-of-state tuition or tuition for graduate students. The raise is brought on by recent budget cuts applied to the public college system in Wisconsin. Overall, the University of Wisconsin colleges lost $250 million in budget cuts, $3.5 million of which directly affect the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. Tuition prices for out-of-state students and for graduate students are expected to raise by approximately 3.8%. This will bring in a raise of between $321 and $954 for each student affected. The total revenue from increased tuition fees is projected to be around $500,000. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's kind of disgusting, to put it briefly.
Yeah.
The fact that they are really trying, it seems like they're trying to milk us students for as much money as they possibly can.
I agree.
And how does it even make sense that the government is raising tuition when the government is the one paying for our schooling?
We're a public school.
It's a confusing, and when you see the number that it says $954 for each student, that's ridiculous.
I feel like it's just a sticky situation because I understand that the University of La Crosse specifically was cut $3.5 million. So obviously we have to make up that difference somewhere, and it's like, yeah, I'm angry about it, but it's not like Joe Gau's fault or anything, you know.
Most definitely.
And they have to make up that difference somehow. And because of the freeze, I didn't understand that the freeze only affected undergraduate in-state students. I didn't know that until I researched this story. So I guess we've lost, I want to say, 43 staff positions here at the university.
It's a lot.
It is a lot of, like one of my friends was he was an employee at the IT center working on computers, and all those positions were eliminated. That's about 20 positions right there that were gone.
Which you think about, yes, it's an IT job, and it's not like a professor job, but I've used Wing so many times to go get my computer fixed, and it's like, so who am I going to go to now? Do I have to go to the Mac guys and get my computer fixed for $100?
It's quite the shame. It's quite the shame. Well, hey, let's try to think of another topic. Let's try to get a little bit more upbeat, maybe.
All right. So, last Sunday, April 10th, 2016, the UW-La Crosse Active Minds hosted the first ever Out of the Darkness Walk that was held at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. The walk was held to raise awareness for suicide prevention and provide survivors support. Around 200 people attended the walk, and at 9:30 a.m., there was already $7,327 donated for the walk that will be sent to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The money donated to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention will be used to fund new research, educational programs, advocate for public policy, and support survivors affected by suicide. According to the AFSP, there are 117 suicides every day in the United States. For every one suicide committed, there are an additional 25 attempted. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States as of 2014. In a quote by Haley Ingersoll, the president of the UW-La Crosse Active Minds and a good friend of mine, she states, quote, I think people are getting on board and recognizing that mental health is just as important as our physical health. But it takes moments like this, and it takes people getting together to really bring that across, end quote. What do you guys think?
I think that was a pretty powerful quote to end that one with.
And I think so too.
I like that she tied in mental and physical health because it does, you need a balance of both. And I think that this event did a great job, promoting mental health as well as getting physical.
I also think it's just such a great thing to see the fact that our society here in America is starting to realize the importance of mental health and how it can really devastate not only individuals' lives, but a lot of groups, families' lives, a lot of just everyone can be affected by mental health.
I agree. People don't really understand or they don't think about the ripple effect that goes around, people that have mental health problems. The people around them are definitely just as affected as they are. If you've got friends or family that may have a mental health issue, you're affected by that. You love that person, so you care, so it affects everyone. I think everybody needs to be made more aware of mental health issues.
Seeing them struggle.
Yeah, definitely.
You really do. And with groups like this, like Active Minds here at La Crosse, hopefully that will start to be improved.
Definitely. It's actually their first year. Did you guys know that?
I did not actually.
Yeah, Haley Ingersoll actually founded the group, and I think they were in Cartwright, I want to say 2 weeks ago, handing out green bandanas. Actually have it on my backpack right now. So there's the green bandana project.
Is green a color that has any meaning?
It's like the color for
color for suicide awareness.
Yeah, I believe so.
Very
cool. So
well, hey, that's a pretty good story. Let's move on. Maybe talk about another story.
Sounds good. So last August, Deshaun Randall, shot and killed George Miller on the south side of La Crosse. The shooting occurred after an argument that was centered on a woman both of the men were interested in had spun out of control. After being convicted in February, his sentence was given last week in a courtroom with not only his family, but Miller's family as well. Emotions were high as Miller's girlfriend, aunt, and grandmother all attested to their deceased loved one. His aunt, Janine Thomas, said, "God says I have to forgive you, but right now I can't. You made a decision. Now you have to live with the consequences of your actions." Randall's attorney, Michael Colby, explained Randall's behavior as a stem from his tragic childhood and lack of strong role models. While Randall expressed his remorse and regret of the situation at hand, in the end, Randall was sentenced to life in prison with possibility of supervision after 25 years. He is currently 19 years old. I think that is insane.
It's one of those tragic stories on every side of the situation.
Yeah.
Where he was a young 18-year-old guy, made some stupid decision, no matter how heinous it was, and
pretty heinous.
and his entire life is ruined for that one decision when he's 18. And to think about, again, we go back to families, think about the family of the man that was murdered.
I saw the footage from WXOW, the local news station here in La Crosse, and you could tell that Randall was extremely devastated. Immediately, once they gave him his sentence, his head just went. So it's sad that we see that stuff happen, but you have hope that we don't see this happen in La Crosse again, and that shootings become extremely minimal, even extinct in this great community that we live in.
Because it's one of those things where we're all citizens of the La Crosse community, and when we hear things like this, it's almost like, no, not in our La Crosse.
Right.
But these things happen every single day, and it's something that, again, spreading awareness for it I think it can really help improve the situation.
I agree. Yeah, I would never I was at home actually when this happened back, in my little hometown and stuff, and I was at work, and I remember this was on the news station back home as well, and I was sitting with my local customers, and I had no idea, this was just crazy. My customers were like, "Isn't La Crosse a good city where they don't do that kind of thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I thought so too."
It's a pretty interesting story. Well, hey, let's head on to our final story for the night.
All right, sounds good. So, UWL's own biology professor, Jennifer Klein, is the head of a research project on human aging. With a $300,000 grant, 10 undergraduate students, 1 graduate student, and 1 postdoctorate researcher to aid her, Klein has the backup to do some groundbreaking work. Klein and others hope to discover why the body ages, what specific molecules aid in aging, and how stress influences the process. They plan on learning about the human body by mutating zebra fish so they glow in the dark, to then look into how stress on the fish influences their aging process. They are also making other mutations on the zebrafish in order to dig deeper into the issue of aging, excuse me. In the end, they hope to find the specific molecules that cause the body to get old. While magic treatments and creams may lessen the look of aging, these researchers from our own university look to prevent it altogether. I think that's kind of interesting.
I sure wouldn't mind some anti-aging.
I don't think anyone would mind that too much.
I'm already worried about that at 21 years old.
I know.
Great.
And to think about the fact that the secret to anti-aging might come out of UW La Crosse is a pretty fascinating tidbit of information.
And zebrafish,
And
of all
zebrafish.
things,
Exactly.
It'll be incredibly interesting to see how this research
Yeah.
goes on.
I agree.
And it's also interesting to think about Jennifer Klein, who I've personally met before, is doing some of this groundbreaking research that I think is probably eventually going to get some national recognition.
Definitely.
Just to think about all the things that our professors are doing here in La Crosse really makes us proud to go to UW La Crosse, does it not?
It
Great
is very
students,
cool.
great professors,
Exactly.
great university.
I think so. And so when we go and we talk about the different types of magic and creams, I can't wait until, if we do get this secret, I can't wait until those creams and those treatments are gone. Every time I'm watching TV and I'm seeing this cream is you can wipe it on your crow's feet and they'll disappear. I see that, I'm just like, you are just trying to scam some
Good thing you
gullible
don't
students.
need any of it.
Exactly. I'm going to be young forever, and I believe it. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for coming to see us at Almost Live in La Crosse. We will be back again in a couple weeks to give you the news from around the world right here in La Crosse, and hopefully to open your eyes up about some great issues. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you later.
Have a good night.